So we have Boruto 2 Vortex chapter 20 titled Because of Love, and in this chapter we have a major reveal of Sarada awakening her Mangekyou Sharingan for the very first time in Tubu Vortex. Obviously we have already seen Sarada first activate it at the end of part 1, however, this is the first time we get to see her use it in Tubu Vortex, and we get to see just how strong the abilities that the Mangekyou Sharingan give her in the battle against Ryu. Boruto 2 Vortex chapter 20, in my opinion, is one of the best chapters in all of Boruto. This chapter had the ultimate reveal that eventually paid off from the build-up chapters that happened at the start of this arc. Obviously with Team 7 and the Sand Ninja ready to fight the Shinju and take them down as their mission, there was plenty of slow build-up that happened in the past few chapters, and many people were starting to get pretty antsy about what's to come, especially since the manga is monthly after all. So with a lot of these slow chapters, some people were starting to get bored. However, in my opinion, I've been saying it for a while, you have to just let the story build up, and with Boruto 2 Vortex chapter 20, this is exactly what we got. Not only did we get to see Sarada awaken the Mangekyou Sharingan for the first time in the time skip, but also with Konohamaru finally getting the moment that I've been waiting for a very long time, especially in the main storyline of the manga. So let's start at the top of this chapter where we see Matsuri ready to devour Konohamaru, as it seems like Konohamaru is completely stuck in a bind at Matsuri's mercy, where Matsuri does tell Konohamaru that she will snap his neck from him whining too much, or if they keep talking until the moment that she devours him. No matter what, Konohamaru will die in this scenario. We then see the dialogue that Shikamaru had with Konohamaru in the earlier chapters about the mission and the objective when it comes to taking down these Shinjus. Konohamaru's goal after all is to befriend Matsuri, and then when the time is right, betray them and kill them when their guard is down. And when it comes to this inner dialogue that eventually leads up to this moment, I do have to say the way Ikimoto and Kishimoto built up to the betrayal was absolutely amazing. From the panels, it slowly shows how Konohamaru slowly was able to get Matsuri to not kill him right away and instead join his side, where eventually he did make the decision to betray her in the end. The Shinjus are still effectively babies, meaning that despite having this will to eliminate their targets and devour them, they can be manipulated for them to be befriended, such as in this situation where we know that Matsuri does have feelings for Konohamaru, as Konohamaru begins to manipulate Matsuri's feelings against her to not kill him right away. He tells her that by having this talk, Konohamaru does remind Matsuri that she did say that this was the best day of her life, and that if she does devour Konohamaru, then they won't be able to have any further conversations again, since Konohamaru will be presumably dead. Matsuri replies by saying that while it was fun, she felt like it was her sanity that was eventually slipping away. She realizes that Konohamaru is dangerous and that he is driving her crazy, which has become clear to her. That her instincts are driving her to eliminate whatever danger is in her way, and this danger is Konohamaru, of course. However, at the same time, her inner thoughts, which is her having feelings for Konohamaru, is providing some confliction about this moment. And despite all this, Matsuri is still willing to devour Konohamaru in this situation, as we see more roots forming around Konohamaru, as it seems like Konohamaru is starting to be devoured. Anyways, we jump to the other Shinju fight, where we know that the other Sand Ninja, Sarada and Mitsuki, are now completely defenseless because the lodestone sand sealing blade that Araya had was sealed away from the claw grimes that Ryu summoned in the last chapter, meaning that they really have no other way when it comes to fighting back against the Iron Sand. With the situation at hand, everyone in the battlefield against Ryu still tries to fight back, however, it comes to no avail. Slowly but surely, one by one, each character is taken down very quickly, with Araya and then Mitsuki. Mitsuki does activate his Sage Mode, however his power is not strong enough, where he too gets pushed back by the Iron Sand to the point where he actually depowers from Sage Mode, meaning that Mitsuki really cannot fight back against Ryu and his Iron Sand Jutsu. Ryu then uses the Iron Sand to restrict the movements of both Araya and Mitsuki, effectively making them his servants, where he can move their body parts without their own will. And at this point, Ryu has taken complete control of the battlefield. Half of the team have been restrained, and Yodo and Sarada just do not have the power to fight back against Ryu's Iron Sand. And Ryu here now begins to question everyone on the battlefield. He reveals that he's not going to let any of these characters escape, but he's also not going to kill them since it wouldn't make sense to him either. We do know the goals of the Shinjus is to hunt down Boruto Uzumaki and as well as his accomplice, which of course we know is Kashin Koji. So this is where he begins to extend extorts the ninja by asking them where exactly is Boruto or his accomplice, and only then, if he does get that information, they will be left free. Of course, Mitsuki does not fall for this bluff by saying that Sarada and Yodo should run, knowing that eventually they will be killed. Because at the end of the day, Ryu was betrayed by them and most likely will want to kill them no matter what. And while Ryu is fishing for any sort of intel, Yodo does suggest to Sarada to tell Ryu on where exactly Boruto's location is at. And this is how they will be able to leave the battlefield alive, knowing that Ryu is going to kill them. However, Sarada does say that she is not going to rat out Boruto and give away his location. And despite not having a choice in this situation, Sarada stands firm on her decision that she will not tell Ryu on where exactly Boruto is. And even though she doesn't know where exactly Boruto is at, this shows you the loyalty and commitment that she has toward Boruto. She knows she won't sell out a friend to save Boruto, where she even gets a flashback to her conversation with Sumire at the start of TBV, where Sumire explains how she and Sarada were the only characters in the Leaf Village to side with Boruto, even though they have no crucial intel on him in the current situation. And because of this, they've been able to live freely in the Leaf Village despite siding with a rogue ninja. And this is something that Yodo does note when talking to Sarada, saying that she's been wondering why Sarada has been sticking up for a rogue ninja like Boruto despite all of the crimes that he has committed, even though we know that Boruto is innocent in this situation. But she does come to the conclusion that Boruto is somebody that Sarada would stick up for, even though the rest of the world does want him dead. Yodo does say that she does feel the same exact way about Shinki, which shows you the inner feelings when it comes to the dialogue of these characters, and not only that, a potential romance with these characters as they are teammates of Boruto and Shinki after all. Yodo then offers to give herself up so the other three characters, Sarada, Mitsuki, and Araya, could leave peacefully. She says she'll start gathering intel on Boruto's whereabouts in order to keep Ryu appeased and for the rest of the members on the battlefield to stay alive. Anyways, we jump back to Konohamaru and Matsuri, where it looks like Matsuri is starting to devour Konohamaru fully. And this is where I would think that Konohamaru is starting to die. However, in this situation, as Konohamaru is starting to get devoured, we see Matsuri cry for the very first time. And this is where I have to say Ikimoto absolutely snapped when it comes to showing the emotions of the Shinju, not only just with Matsuri Konohamaru, but also with Jura as well. Slowly but surely, panel by panel, we see Matsuri lose her focus on actually trying to kill Konohamaru as tears begin to fall from her eyes. She even notices this and says, "What is this dripping liquid coming from her eyes?" And this is the first time she has become emotional in a situation like this. And this is where we get to see Konohamaru use that talk no jutsu that Naruto taught him, and this is where he begins to slowly but surely unravel Matsuri's thoughts when it comes to her true feelings of being with Konohamaru and not trying to kill him instead. Her crying for the first time made her realize that she has become sad, as this is the first true emotion that she has undergone since she does have feelings for Konohamaru and that she does not want to kill him, which Konohamaru does remind her. We then jump back to the dimension where Jura and Hidari are at, and with both of them monitoring what Matsuri is doing right now, Jura also begins to shed some tears because he too is also feeling the emotion of love as well. And I do want to note that while Jura is also shedding tears, the character that isn't shedding any tears is Hidari, as he just mindlessly looking at Jura, taking notes. Matsuri on the other hand has completely lost it. Now she isn't trying to kill Konohamaru anymore, but is trying to reason and justify why exactly she is crying in the first place. Konohamaru reminds her that the feelings that they have are genuine, and this is where he requests Matsuri to hold his hands, knowing that the feelings they have together. Matsuri then begins to hold Konohamaru's hands, where we begin to see the inner dialogue from Shikamaru, where he explains the overall mission when it comes to taking down the Shinju, befriend them, and eventually betray them. And this is where we see the ultimate betrayal when Konohamaru begins to hold hands with Matsuri. Once they touch hands, Konohamaru then begins his full-on betrayal, where he forms a massive Rasengan to destroy Matsuri's hands and break out of the roots that were forming around him, where it looked like he was going to get devoured. Instead, he catches her off guard, where he begins to try to kill her. This is such an impactful moment for a character like Konohamaru, considering how many times he's gotten embarrassed over and over again in the main story of the Boruto manga. The amount of times we have clowned this guy over the past few years, it has been insane. And as just a fan of this series, I'm very glad to see Konohamaru finally get that moment where he has some actual legitimate shine when it comes to him being a ninja, and also following the footsteps of Naruto, where he uses the Talk no Jutsu to his advantage, where he does betray Matsuri. However, this ultimately does not follow through when it comes to killing her, as Matsuri does save Konohamaru's name, where he does loosen up just a little bit when trying to kill her with the double Rasengans. This is where we get the inner monologue from Jura explaining how Matsuri came to be when it comes to the emotions that she was feeling. Of course, it came with the feeling of love. Matsuri wavered over devouring him and allowed Konohamaru to trick her in the end, but at the same time, because of this love, Konohamaru let up and ultimately failed to kill Matsuri. And this is where he made his biggest mistake when it comes to fulfilling the mission of killing the Shinjus. Ultimately, I am very happy for Konohamaru because he was very badass in this chapter, I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was ultimately finished for, however, he did betray Matsuri, but it was not enough to kill her. So we'll see where that comes off, because right after this we go right back to where Ryu and the rest of the other ninja are when it comes to taking him down. So we'll see what happens with that in the next chapter. So with the final stretch of this chapter, we see how Sarada and Yodo deal with taking down Ryu, where we quickly see Yodo get impaled by the iron sand, rendering her useless, meaning that the only character left standing is Sarada herself. Yodo does say that she knows she is done for, meaning that she is on the brink of death, where she does explain to Sarada that she doesn't know her true self when it comes to her powers and her feelings on how strong she wants to become. She explains to Sarada that she is completely deluding herself subconsciously when it comes to the power that she has been letting rot inside of her. Obviously, she's referring to Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan that we have seen at the end of part 1. We only saw a flash of it when she awakened it for the first time, knowing that Boruto was innocent during the whole Omnipotence event. However, we have not seen it since, and because of that, this is something that led up to the ultimate reveal of Sarada awakening her Mangekyou Sharingan again. Ryu then restrains Sarada with the iron sand, forcing her to pull out a kunai, where it seems like Sarada is going to kill Yodo without her will, but the movements of the iron sand taking control of her body. Yodo then continues to explain that Sarada has no reason to continue to hold herself back. Obviously, in a situation like this, she understands that Sarada is doing this for the greater good and for only to use it for one person, and that one person is for Boruto. Yodo realizes that Sarada's true powers are made to protect Boruto because of the situation that he is in, and since he is a rogue ninja, Sarada has made it a goal to protect Boruto's name no matter what. This has been a consistent theme since the start of Two Blue Vortex, where we saw in the very first page Sarada trying to defend Boruto's case, where he was made a rogue ninja. Even after 3 years, she was trying to defend Boruto's name to Shikamaru and clear his name of any wrongdoing. However, it fails in the end as he continued to be hunted down by the Leaf Village, and because of this, Sarada awakened her Sharingan. And not only just her Sharingan, but eventually the Mangekyou Sharingan, where we get to witness the very first ability of her Mangekyou Sharingan, as the iron sand that was restricting the movements of everybody on the battlefield slowly begins to disappear. Ryu no longer has control of the iron sand, including Sarada herself, as we see a black vortex form where it begins to suck the iron sand and its chakra away, completely removing the iron sand from the battlefield. Mitsuki notices that the iron sand has been gathered up in one spot where it's being evaporated from thin air, and this is where we get the reveal of Sarada finally activating her Mangekyou Sharingan through her own will. And this is where the chapter ends, and man, do I have to say, this is by far one of the best chapters in all of Boruto. When I tell you, when it comes to the build-up of the past few chapters, the ultimate reveal at the end of chapter 20 made it worthwhile. This is why I say, let the Boruto manga cook. Obviously, the past few chapters were very slow, but with the ultimate reveal of Sarada finally awakening her Mangekyou Sharingan, not only did it make the reveal worth it, but it shows you that Sarada has the power to fight back against the Shinjus. When it comes to Ryu and Matsuri as well, we'll see how Konohamaru deals with her. It seems like there was some discussion, especially for me, that Team 7 may not have the ultimate power to take down these Shinjus. Now, of course, when it came to this mission, Koji did say the success rate of this mission actually happening is very high, meaning that they would be able to kill the Shinjus. But with the end of last chapter, it seemed like Team 7 and the Zen Ninja had no option when it came to taking down the Shinjus. But with Sarada finally awakening her Mangekyou Sharingan out of her own will, we will now see just how strong Sarada is. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, with how she was able to evaporate the iron sand away into that black vortex, with how cool it looked, I think the tables have completely turned, knowing that Ryu may not have the power to fight back against Sarada and this ability that the Mangekyou Sharingan brought her. Meaning that Ryu may not have any other options left when it comes to fighting Sarada if he cannot use the iron sand, and maybe some of the other jutsus that Shinki may know could be countered by Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan ability. So overall, this was an amazing chapter. I do have to say it again. Ikimoto did an amazing job by showing off the artwork and the paneling. The panels were slowly showed with the emotion being conveyed. I thought it was amazing with the back and forth, the transitions between Matsuri and Konohamaru to Ryu and the other ninjas when they were battling him. Absolutely amazing. Peak fiction, man. This was a 10 out of 10 chapter, and this ultimately made it worth it from the past few slow chapters. Like I said, the only problem with Boruto is the fact that it is a monthly manga. While we all have our criticisms for it, the monthly wait for each chapter does make it a little bit difficult to stay engaged with the storyline, which is why I will always say to let the story cook. When it comes to this manga, so far in TBV, there's going to be some slow points, but it will lead to a moment like this, and we're going to get into some crazy action next chapter. So let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. What would you rate Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 20? How'd you guys feel about Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan finally being activated into Blue Vortex? And let me know, how do you feel about this ability that she has that allowed her to warp away Ryu's iron sand? As a fan of Sarada's character, I'm really happy that she is finally getting this moment, and this also proves that the Boruto manga does not need to rely on Boruto and Kawaki to carry its plot. This was kind of an issue that I had in Boruto Part 1. While it was very exciting to see, I felt like a character like Sarada and Konohamaru, to be honest with you, got left out. However, in 2 Blue Vortex so far, I do have to say, they have completely satisfied my needs by giving these other side characters moments to shine. Konohamaru betraying Matsuri, and also with Sarada finally awakening that Mangekyou Sharingan, saving everybody on the battlefield. We no longer have to wait for Boruto or Kawaki to save the day. Now Sarada finally has her moments and can fight back against these very powerful enemies in the main storyline. So let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.